Feel like singing higher or lower? Take a vote.
I love high.
Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. You can play cartels. She's nice, she's over there, but I like it close too. Mismatch. You got to get where it matches. Thinking, brain, intelligence. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kundali Gopi Jana Balapa Jaya Giri Vardhari. Don't be shy, hit him. Jaya Giri Vardhari. Jana Vallabha Jaya Giri Vardhari. Jaya Giri Vardhari. Yamuna Tira Punjabi
Gopi Jana Bala Jaya Kiri Bhattari Jaya Kiri Bhattari Gopi Jana Bala Jaya Kiri Bhattari Jaya Kiri Bhattari Yamuna Tira Yamuna Tira Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Ram Ram Hare Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Privacharya Astu Shrimad
Nitya Lila Pavista, His Divine Grace, Srila Abhay Charanaravinda, Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, ISKCON's BBT founder, Acharya Jagadguru Bhattita Pavana, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Govinda Dev Ki Jai. Amala Purana, Grantaraj, Śrimad Bhāgavatam Ki Jai. Yuga Dharma, Harinam, Sankirtan, Mahayagna Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanandi. Hare Krishna. Okay. What's the best nation in the world? It's a carnation. No, it's a donation. Flora is very beautiful. You can see the deities if you put it there. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam Ojayamudiraye Nastapareshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Reading from the Śrimad Bhāgavatam, Canto 4. If this is not too loud, make it louder because I don't want to have it right in front of my face. Thank you. Canto 4, chapter number 3, entitled Talks Between Lord Shiva and Sati. In the original printing, when the fourth canto was in 4 volumes, the picture of them talking was on the back cover. We're reading verses 8 and 9. 9 has the bigger and more substantial purport. We'll chant that together. But first, I will say verse number 8. Sati uvacha prajapatis te sva sushrasaya sampratam niryapito yagna mahotsava kila vayam cha tatra vishrama vama te yadi artitami vibhuda prajanti hi. Sati said, "My dear Lord Shiva, your father-in-law is now executing great sacrifices, and all the demigods, having been invited by him, are going there. If you desire, we may also go." Purport. Sati knew of the tension between her father and her husband, but still she expressed to her husband, Lord Shiva, that since such sacrifices were going on at her father's house and so many demigods were going, she also desired to go. But she could not express her willingness directly, and so she told her husband that if he desired to go, then she could also accompany him. In other words, she submitted her desire very politely to her husband. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskita Deshatarane Om Jnana Timarandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Amritam Nyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So even though great offense and or multi-varieties of seeds of that offense have been planted, if you plant the seed, then it will grow into a plant and it will fructify, and the fruits are there for you to enjoy or suffer. In the Nectar Devotion, it's described how karma are sinful reactions. They're in 3 different stages. And in answer to the question, how is it that like a sinful man is enjoying and more or less getting away with murder, whereas other persons are in a destitute position and they're suffering? Because there's different stages on the merry-go-round. So Daksha is performing a sacrifice. It's a standard sacrifice. It's not that he made it up in his mind. Of course, he blocked and didn't invite one of the most important personalities who should be there, Lord Shiva. That's one thing. But the overall framework is there. So the tension, it's mentioned, between her father, Daksha, and Lord Shiva, her husband. But, okay, in this case, many persons knew of it, and sides were taken. Followers of Lord Shiva, headed by Nandishvar, and the followers of Daksha, headed by Bhrigu Muni. But there were many persons taking part in the sacrifice, or many persons want to engage in the service of the Lord, and they're going to take part in a function arranged for community devotional service. So it's described here how Lord Shiva's actions previously were highly praised or even excellent, because he did not retaliate and he did not become angry, what to speak of violent, as he will very soon, at the time, allowing for everything to go on. So this is very interesting. Also, it's mentioned here how Sati, she, as it's being revealed here in these verses, especially in the next verse, how she had a strong desire to go and participate, which arguably isn't the most desirable desire, if that's a double entendre kind of word. And even Lord Shiva is warning her against acting on that desire, but she is caught between two, her strong desire and a desire to follow Lord Shiva's instructions, but ultimately her desire to desire wins out. So when different personalities come into conflict, or we can say that Daksha was the one who set this whole thing into motion by his aparad, by his offense. If he hadn't acted out of such anger and pride, then everything would have gone on smoothly. And Lord Shiva arguably or justifiably was provoked ultimately by, not only did he make offense to Lord Shiva, which Lord Shiva tolerated, but then when he didn't actively offend his beloved daughter by words, but by his neglect and not ignoring her when she came to the sacrifice because of her connection with Lord Shiva. The beloved daughter is very, very dear to the father. So he was so caught up in his envy of Lord Shiva that he didn't even really like think about it deeply. Oh, I have to do this, but just like the lust just took over him so much that he just, And then on top of that, he doesn't prevent her death. That was too much for everyone. Even Daksha's wife, Sati's mother, understood later that Daksha must be prepared to die for this heinous act. When all the dust and the darkness and all the foreboding omens, which was basically Nandishvar and what was the great demon that was created, fire demon, they're all coming and they're gonna like really enact justice. Others were bewildered. What's going on here? We have a strong king, even thinking he'll take care of this. Maybe thinking it was a disturbance of thieves and rogues. Just like, will there be civil unrest on the streets of Brooklyn, or New York City? NYPD will take care of it. But what was her mother? Sati's mother? Anyway, she understood. And the reason given that her heart was soft and free from envy. You could understand what the situation was. So sometimes we might be put into a complicated situation because of different personalities having created a situation based on their uh, offensive activities, even illegal or criminal activities, and others not understanding what they've actually done or what the motivation behind their present activities are. Uh, and as Lord Shiva was silent, then we are recommended to be silent, that it is not for us to want to extract justice or what to speak of revenge. Uh, Everything is in the hands of Krishna, and especially here, a sacrifice is being performed ultimately for the pleasure of Lord Vishnu. So there's all different levels of mixed devotional service. We're hearing in Harinam Chintamani about all different categories and levels of Nam Aparad, Namabas, an offensive stage, clearing stage, etc., etc. Haridas Thakur, as the highest authority, Namacharya, is most qualified to guide us and lead us through this complete understanding. But ultimately, because it is, what does it say? Chaturvida Bhajanti Mam, four types of good persons, pious people, they come to the Lord. Their motivation is not so glorious, except for maybe the fourth one who's actually seeking knowledge of the absolute, the distressed, the need, one who's in need of wealth, then just the inquisitive. What's this all about? Oh, okay, thank you. But the fourth is the best, one who's actually seeking the absolute truth. That's who we should always have our eyes open to spot them in whatever condition of life they're in or whatever their appearance is at the present time. We should be very expert in mining and seeing the gold underneath. Um, the spirit soul is always pure, but in the material world, we're tarnished, covered, contaminated in various ways. But devotee is likened unto the expert geologist, and he can understand what is gold, where is gold, distinguishing it from unreal fool's gold, and help bring forth the ultimate highest potential for everyone, just like Srila Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, most expert. Next verse, number 9. Tasmin baganyo mama bartribi svaker chuvam kamishyanti surid didrik shava aham cha tasmin bhavat abhikamaye saho panitam Paribramam. Did I say that right? Paribarham. Arhitum. Tasmin baginyo mama partribis fakir. Juvam gimishyanti sarid didrik shava. Aham chatasmin bhavatabi kamaye. Saho panitam pari barham arhitum. Tasmin baginyo mama partribis fakir. Shruvam kamishyanti sarid didrik shava. Aham chatasmin bhavata bikamaye. Saho panitam paribarman arhitum. Tasmin baginyo mama partribis fakir. Shruvam kamishyanti sarid didrik shava. Aham chatasmin bhavata bikamaye. Saho panitam paribarham arhitum.
Aham chasamin bhavata vikamaye. Avo panitam parivar. Magenyo mahabhartribhisvake. Magenyo mahabhartribhisvake. Shanti Shanti Aham chitasmin bhavata vikamaye. Aham chatasmin bhavata vikamaye. Nitam parivar. O Anitam parivar. Tasmin bhagenyo mahabhartribhisvake. Dhruvam Shanti Suridisha. Aham chatasmin bhavata vikamaye. O Anitam parivar.
You always have this maybe 2 inches, so it has enough weight to keep the thing from tipping over like this. Then there's another feature here to make this go like that. Zen in the art of microphone maintenance. Does mean in that sacrifice, Bhaganya, sisters, Mama, my, Batrabi, with their husbands, Svakai, their own, Juvam, surely, Kamishyanti, will go, Suritdik Shava, desiring to meet the relatives, Aham, I, Cha, and Tasmin, in that assembly, Bhavata, with you, Lord Shiva, Abhikamaye, I desire, Saha, with, Panitam, given, Paribarham. Okay, I said it wrong. Paribarham.
Parivarham,
Ornaments or of decoration.
ornaments of decoration.
Are he tuned to accept? I think that all my sisters must have gone to this great sacrificial ceremony with their husbands just to see their relatives. I also desire to decorate myself with the ornaments given to me by my father and go there with you to participate in that assembly. Please repeat. I think that all my sisters
I think that all my sisters
must have all gone to this great sacrificial ceremony
must have gone to this great sacrificial ceremony
with their husbands
with their husbands.
just to see their relatives. I also desire to decorate myself
I also desire to decorate myself
with the ornaments given to me by my father
with the ornaments given to me by my father,
and go there with you
and go there with you
to participate in that assembly.
in that assembly.
Purport by His Divine Grace, ISKCON's founder, Acharya, Srila Prabhupada. It is a woman's nature to want to decorate herself with ornaments and nice dresses and accompany her husband to social functions, meet friends and relatives, and enjoy life in that way. This propensity is not unusual, for woman is the basic principle of material enjoyment. Therefore, in Sanskrit, the word for woman is stri, which means one who expands the field of material enjoyment. In the material world, there is an attraction between woman and man. This is the arrangement of conditional life. A woman attracts a man, and in that way, the scope of material activities involving house, wealth, children, and friendship increases. And thus, instead of decreasing one's material demands, one becomes entangled in material enjoyment. Lord Shiva, however, is different. Therefore, his name is Shiva. He is not at all attracted by material enjoyment, although his wife, Sati, was the daughter of a very great leader and was given to him by the request of Brahma. Lord Shiva was reluctant, but Sati, as a woman, the daughter of a king, wanted enjoyment. She wanted to go to her father's house, just as her other sisters might have done, and meet them and enjoy social life. Here, she specifically indicated that she would decorate herself with the ornaments given by her father. She did not say that she would decorate herself with the ornaments given by her husband because her husband was callous about all such matters. He did not know how to decorate his wife and take part in social life because he was always in ecstasy with thoughts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. According to the Vedic system, a daughter is given a sufficient dowry at the time of her marriage, and therefore Sati was also given a dowry by her husband, and ornaments were included. It is also the custom that her husband gives some ornaments, but here it is particularly mentioned that her husband, being materially almost nothing, could not do so. Therefore, she wanted to decorate herself with the ornaments given by her father. It was fortunate for Sati that Lord Shiva did not take the ornaments from his wife and spend them for uh, ganja. You pardon me, I don't have very little experience. Because those who imitate Lord Shiva in smoking ganja exploit everything from household affairs. They take all of their wives' property and spend on smoking, intoxication, and similar other activities. Ibid Bindaranya Kalpajumada, Śrimad Ratnagara Singha Sanasto, Śrimad Radha Shilagovinda Devo, Pistalabi, Savyamano Smarami. So the next several verses are similar. So this material world is a perverted reflection of spiritual value and spiritual variegatedness. So we have consciously, actively, enthusiastically, determinedly decided to live our life in the process of elevation. What is that book? Elevation to Krishna Consciousness. Haridas Thakur is describing how by following the rules and regulations of authorized sadhana, one can rise above the stages of namabhas, what to speak of aparad, and ultimately achieve the most coveted goal, prema, pure love of God. So, one on that platform, and what to speak of those who are practicing under the authority of the Mahabhagavat devotee, in our case, of course, Srila Prabhupada, that intelligence, Divya Gyan Hriday Prokashito, is revealed step by step and in stages. Krishna says, once going, one never comes back. That is my supreme abode. That is the same with transcendental knowledge. That is why all recommendation is given to respecting the senior devotees. Senior, various levels of senior by physical age, in terms of ecclesiastical time or initiation. Pradyumna tells a story how in Montreal, as early as 1968, they were having a little darshan with Prabhupada in his room, his humble little low desk. And Janardhan, who was a French devotee, but in French-speaking Quebec, Canada, was in the room. But Pradyumna was seated, say, like Dr. Dillon here is like maybe a foot behind, in front of a Dipron here. So Prabhupada called out, he is your senior brother. You should not sit in front. No, that's all right. That's the example. You know, senior by what? Like 1 year or something, or you know. But the etiquette is there. But of the three, here's the next one. The best one is senior in knowledge and realization. Just like Shukadeva Goswami. How old was he? 16 years old. And what to speak of his, the way he conducted himself was just unbelievable, or just incredible. He's walking naked, and he's a beautiful young youth, very attractive to women. But even the regular ladies in the bathing place, as he's passing by, felt no embarrassment or compunction because they could see completely transcendental and above the attraction between male and woman. He's not going to be lusting after them, which is where then Srila Vyasadeva, Mahamuni Vyasadeva, he's coming. You know, he's certainly not, you know, like a lusty person, and he's coming to find his son Shukadeva Goswami. Wait, please come home. But the ladies and girls quickly dress, because this is Vyasadeva. He's playing the role of a householder. And there was a search. Who should give direction to this meeting? Is Maharaj Parikshit, the last heir apparent of the glorious Pandavas. The Kurukshetra war was fought to get rid of all persons opposed to their glorious, pious, and most desired rule, which was the will of the Supreme Personality of God in Himself directly. And Prabhupada, he was a young man, I believe, I've heard 25 years old. And he's cursed to die within 7 days. What is the duty of everyone at the time of, and especially of one at the point of death? And Shukadeva Goswami appears, and everybody unanimously, there wasn't an argument, hey, me first, not you, you know, not like, hey, why is he, you know, this person's not fit to be the attorney general or whoever, whatever, you know, we're going to fight, you know. And unanimously, Shukadeva Goswami. He will be the one to be the president of this entire assembly. And you can read in that chapter, and Prabhupada gives a biographical sketch of all these great personalities that are coming from all over the universe. Most exalted, and Shukadeva Goswami is the leader, and he's only 16 years old, seemingly. So this is the glorious opportunity of being a Gaudiya Vaishnav devotee, a representative of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Who is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Lord Chaitanya, well, so many things. The very most important chapters given in the Adi Leela. The identity of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that's chapter 2. The external reason for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. And 4, the confidential reason for the appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, where it is revealed that he, Lord Chaitanya, is the combined form of Radha and Krishna. So, as it's described here, Stri, woman in the material world, is meant to expand the field of material involvement, material enjoyment, material bewilderment. So if the reflection in the material world is based on the highest reality, Krishna instructs us in the Bhagavad Gita, the banyan tree, upside down in the material world. And what is the thing that makes it go? Desire. By desire, we come into this material world, and by that same desire. Desire is the concomitant nature. Think of another word, better word. The id of the self. Ananda chinmaya rasa vitavita bhista birya eva nijarupataya kalabi goloka eva nivisati akilatma bhuto govindamadi pursham tamaham bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who resides in his own realm, Goloka, with Radha, who resembles his own spiritual figure, and who embodies the ecstatic potency, Ladini. The perverted reflection of Ladini potency, pure love, is lust, which we see in this material world. Tripurari Maharaj met with Srila Prabhupada in New York here during the New York Rath Yatra period in July of '76. You can hear this on the incredible footage, film footage of the New York Rath Yatra. Has everyone seen this? If you haven't, there's a big part of your life that needs to see it. So Yadubar and Vishaka, they put his memoir. The Prabhupada says to him, have you seen the women of New York City? They're so beautiful. They're so attractive. They're so alluring. And Tripurari Maharaj, I believe he's 25, 26 years old at the time. And his spiritual master, Jagat Guru, who's Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, is asking him, what do you think of the women of New York City? And Prabhupada, Tripurari Maharaj didn't have to speak. He said, see, because they're controlling all the men of this city. And this big, amazing city has come up because of them. And Tripurari Maharaj gives the commentary that Prabhupada was just so expert to see everything in terms of its ultimate spiritual origin and spiritual glory and beauty. Now please listen how Lord Krishna's consorts help him taste rasa and how they help in his pastimes. The beloved consorts of Lord Krishna are of three kinds: the goddesses of fortune, the queens of Dwarka, and the gopis of Braja, who are foremost of all. These consorts all proceed from Radhika. Just as the fountainhead, Lord Krishna, is the cause of all incarnations, so Radha is the cause of all these consorts. And Kaviraj Goswami goes on for some verses. Without many consorts, there is not such exaltation in rasa. So ultimately, the jivas, they're all meant to serve the divine couple in all of their diverse leelas and manifestations, which include all the other rasas as well. That is a complicated subject matter, but we'll just leave it at that because of the primary subject matter and time constraints. Therefore, there are many manifestations of Srimati Radharani to assist in the Lord's pastimes. Among them are various groups of consorts in Braja with varieties of sentiments and mellows. Ultimately, every living entity is different for this reason. And devotees help fellow devotees to ultimately ascertain what is the perfection of their own self-realization and service to Krishna through the bhutale on this earth, service established by the chain of disciplic succession. As already explained, Krishna and Radha are one in two. They are identical. Krishna expands himself in multi-incarnations and plenary portions like the Purushas. Similarly, Srimati Radharani expands herself in multiple forms as goddesses of fortune, the queens and damsels of Braja. Such expansions from Srimati Radharani are all her plenary portions. All these womanly forms of Krishna are expansions corresponding to his plenary expansions of Vishnu forms. There is no difference between the original form and the reflected forms. The female reflections of Krishna's pleasure potency are as good as Krishna himself. The exuberance of transcendental mellows is increased by the association of large numbers of personalities similar to Srimati Radharani, who are also known as gopis or sakhis. The variety of innumerable mistresses is a source of relish for Sri Krishna, and therefore these expansions from Srimati Radharani are necessary for enhancing the pleasure potency of Sri Krishna. Their transcendental exchanges of love are the super excellent affairs of the pastimes of Vrindavan. There is this statement in the conversations between Lord Chaitanya and Ramananda Roy, the most important chapter, Madhya Lila 8 of the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Without the help of the gopis, one cannot enter into these pastimes. Only one who worships the Lord in the ecstasy of the gopis, following in their footsteps, can engage in the service of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna in the groves of Vrindavan. Only then can one understand the conjugal love between Radha and Krishna. There is no other procedure for understanding. Krishna is never attracted by the artificial grooming of the material body. So no matter how elegantly the so-called handsome men and beautiful women of New York City or any other place decorate their material bodies, there's no comparison to the decoration on the bodies of the saintly persons. What are those decorations? Sadhu Bhushana, the ornaments of saintly qualities, the 26 qualities of the devotee. When Prabhupada came here in the 1960s, there was such an incredible breakout from the stereotype, let's just say dull, black and white kind of everybody conform culture post World War II, the 1950s. Everybody was wearing different colors and all different, like everything was just exploding. And here comes Srila Prabhupada, and he is preaching against all of this drugs, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and free love, and all of this, and attracting the best, all of the four types of good persons, and what to speak of the best of those are actually seeking the absolute truth, and adopting the lifestyle of eternal sadhana bhakti under his most able and supreme guidance. Swamiji, show us a miracle in India. Prabhupada said, this is my miracle. When Prabhupada established the Krishna Balaram Mandir, the local Brajbasis and many high-ranking persons from nearby Delhi, capital of India, but Prabhupada, this is just unbelievable. And keep in mind that the British had finally been expelled from India, what is 1947, just 28 years earlier, 1975, 1947. And here are the best of the Anglo-Saxon oppressing colonialists, the Americans and Europeans, British, and they're following our culture with more enthusiasm and zeal than we are, or we have been up to date. We're trying to imitate them, but they're trying to follow our culture. And especially those who lived through the horrendous times of ultimate Indian independence and the decades earlier of the British oppression of India, World War II, etc. So, wow, this is just unbelievable. This is just amazing. This is better than revenge. This is like the sweetest and most glorious absolution. As far as Srimati Radharani and her gopis are concerned, their bodies, homes, dresses, ornaments, endeavors, and activities are all spiritual. All of these are meant to satisfy the spiritual senses of Krishna. They have nothing to do, Radharani and her friends, with anything mundane within the 14 planetary systems of the universe. Although Krishna is attractive to everyone, he nonetheless is attracted by the gopis and Srimati Radharani. What is this said in the very beginning of Nectar of Devotion? That devotional service is so powerful that it attracts even Krishna himself. When the first Christmas marathon was discovered in the 3 days leading up to Christmas, 1972, in Los Angeles, California, devotees discovered that everybody's going shopping, they're all in a good mood. Ho, 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 Merry Christmas! Good tidings to you and all that you do. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Wow, and they're giving donations, they're taking books. We can speak plainly. These books are about love of God, Merry Christmas. Oh boy. And they came back to Srila Prabhupada so excited. And Rameshwar Prabhu, who had just been made the Sankirtan leader and maybe BBT trustee after Prabhupada's trusted disciple Karandar had left, he had asked Srila Prabhupada, is it true that this Sankirtan approaching people to engage them in Krishna's service is in the mood of the gopis? And the answer was yes. I like to quote the ninth canto, fourth chapter, Devasamuni offending Maharaj Ambarish, that when Devasamuni ultimately makes his, somehow or another, after being chased all over the universe with the Sudarshan chakra right on his back, and he tries to get audience and forgiveness from Lord Narayan, Lakshmi Narayan in Vaikuntha. I can't help you. I'm completely under the control of my pure devotee's love. If if Maharaj Ambarish forgives you, then only, and only then will there be peace for you. And the Lord speaks all these wonderful things, how glorious, how much he's subservient to the love of his devotees. And Prabhupada describes there in that section that Krishna is Atma Rama. He's completely self-sufficient. He doesn't need anyone else for his happiness. Yet at the same time, this is the ultimate paradox and is described in the sixth canto, the Payobrata system of worship. It's the last chapter of the sixth canto. You can look at verse number 5, very amazing verse. Three different things are said, how the Lord depends on his devotee. Sometimes his temple is old and is in need of repair. Sometimes he's lost in the jungle, in the case of Madhavendra Puri and Gopal at Govardhan Hill, and he asks his devotee to rescue him. And sometimes the Lord wants his name and fame to be spread all over the world. Although he, the Lord, is complete, he could spread his name, probably is told, Krishna can spread his name and fame like wildfire all over the world. But he's giving us a chance to serve him. And it will be done. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself has said, in every town and village of the world, my name will be heard. And the Dharma for this age will be recognized all over this universe and all over this planet. Prabhupada said, did he say the word disease? No, he said, my problem is I can't think small. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at small? No. Medium? Extra medium? Large. Large means everyone. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in Adi Leela chapter 7, before this getting to Lord Chaitanya defeating the philosophy of Prakashananda Saraswati and the Mayavadis, describes how the Sankirtan movement, initiated by Lord Chaitanya and his associates, completely flooded the Navadvip area, and ultimately the seed of material enjoyment was completely destroyed in that flood of love of Godhead. And Srila Prabhupada, 5 days before arriving in Boston, surrounded by the Atlantic Ocean, described his own spiritual master and his own continuance of that velocity and desire of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that is endowed with such power, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, that he can bestow intense devotional service in various places around the world. And that same flood of love of Godhead, by his desire, his spiritual master, will come about. One of the overriding, maybe that's not the right word, one of the most common things that devotees notice, that Prabhupada gave all credit at all times repeatedly to his spiritual master, and it's all his mercy. So Prabhupada says there in the 9th canto that this Krishna consciousness movement is an attempt to expand the pleasure of the Lord more and more by increasing the number of devotees. One who takes part in this activity becomes a controller of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is the ultimate reality in complete, perfect variegatedness and beauty of the perverted reflection in this material world. And the natural propensity of men and women being attracted become linked and united in sacred marriage and create devotees by having children, which is what most people will do or probably should do. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, sex life according to religious principles, that I am. Even Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, you couldn't think of a more avowed, renounced order of life person than Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. And he made the statement, if I could produce Krishna-conscious children, I would be prepared to have sex hundreds and hundreds of times. So, of course, there's careful consideration that, okay, well, okay, let's go, But ultimately, the best is to I forget the circumstance. I think it was Govinda Dasi. And I forget the exchange, but Prabhupada just looked at her very, like matter of factly and like purely and innocently, are you not my child? And Prabhupada speaking in Los Angeles on the disappearance day of his spiritual master, we think that by giving to Krishna, we are the loser. I had 5 children, but now I have, I think the number he spoke at that time, 300. One who bestows Divya Gyan, he is the ultimate father. And there are brothers and sisters. Oh, brothers, let us cross over this insurmountable ocean of birth and death by taking shelter at the feet of the spiritual master. Yea, prashadi, bye. Oh, brothers. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments on any of the subject matter, first verse that we read, or even the second one here? Hadai Pran Prabhu.
You were mentioning something according to the gopis, and that
Speak slower.
you were mentioning about the purport about the gopis, and then following in that process. So are we to understand that Sankirtan is the process in this age, following in the gopis' footsteps?
What does it say? Acts of sacrifice should never be given up because they purify even the great souls. Srila Prabhupada himself was reluctant to go take rest. Prabhupada had a very heavy cough and like respiration at the end of the New York stay in 1976. And devotees were imploring him, go to Gita Nagari, rest. Prabhupada really liked Gita Nagari. He really liked it there. Even 1 year later in 1977, the plan was go to London, New York, but take up residency in Gita Nagari. Stay there considerable time. And that proved to be this was Prabhupada's last tour of the West. He went to London, and then he was going to cancel and go back to India. But the devotees in France, New Mayapur in particular, begged him to come. That was Prabhupada's last appearance of preaching. Of course, he came back, to London the next year. But coming down the elevator in 55th Street, Prabhupada said, I prayed to Krishna to take the benediction, just like Arjuna, to go on fighting to the very end. But Prabhupada said to Tamal Krishna, preach very vigorously throughout when you're young and throughout your life, Then you can retire to Vrindavan. If you don't preach vigorously, then the mind will disturb, even you go to Vrindavan when you're older. Well, how will we know when we're mature enough? That is up for you to decide. But as for me, Prabhupada is saying, I'm not mature enough, so I'm going to keep preaching. And preaching is the essence. Because, yes, I mean, you intelligently ascertain that in the mood of the gopis, this is the process. This is what devotees do when they're on this planet. They preach and spread Krishna consciousness. It's their life and soul. That's why we're living in New York City, trying to establish Sri Sri Radha Govinda, but they're already established, but to help everyone here who lives and or visits to understand that they are the supreme personalities of God. They're the supreme Ishvar Ishvari. Sri Sri Radha London Ishvar, Sri Sri Paris, Radha Paris Ishvar, Sri Sri Radha New York Ishvar, Radha Govinda. And everyone should come, pay homage, bow down, and offer their very life to their lordships who have come from Goloka Vrindavan to situate themselves in this place. We can say so many things about that, but basically, yes. Anything else? Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. Shri Shri Radha Govinda ki jai. Grantaraj Śrimad Bhāgavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.